If you're an animator, chances are you've come across Animschool Picker, and you've probably used it. Of course you have. You're not a heathen who collects stuff in the viewport. Anyway, Animschool Picker used to be free, but it's not anymore. Luckily, there's an alternative which is not only free, but actually better as well. Let's have a look at Dreamwall Picker. People open Dreamwall Picker and they're like, whoa, that's a lot of stuff, because there's not much documentation. There's not a video out there, video tutorial, for example. I hope this isn't going to be too boring, but it is essentially a tutorial on making a picker for Maya, which is very boring, but very useful. So don't know what you expect, really. You want to start off by downloading it from the GitHub website. There's a link in the description. Go to the Dreamwall Picker file that you downloaded and grab the Dreamwall Picker file, copy that into your Maya scripts folder. So Maya scripts. You want to open up the README, and in there is this script. Copy that. Let's make a button for it, shall we? We have Dreamwall Picker installed. It's quite nice because you can actually dock this picker, which is very handy. I'll just go through Dreamwall Picker as a whole. We have Dreamwall Picker here, and things are very similar to Animschool Picker. You can open, import, save and save as all your pickers, undo, redo. You can add a background image if you want, which is pretty nice. And you can change the namespace. Say, for example, I have two Spideys in here. I could just go in and change the namespace to, it might say Spidey02 or something like that. Change the picker title to Spidey2. Come in, and the preferences in here, there's actually some good stuff. So there's a toolbar where you can change the namespace in here, which is quite handy. You can come in and display the quick options, which I find is handy to turn off, because then you can freely scale this to make it as small as you wish, which for some pickers might be very small and very out of the way. It's kind of handy to just have, maybe you've made a really thin one. You don't want it taking up half of your screen. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what synchronized picker selection does. Feel free to tell me. Just a warning, pretty self-explanatory. There's an icon here, which is handy. I don't know why you'd ever turn that off. Yeah, and you can get a warning as well before closing a tab, which is pretty useful. Turn on to just prompt the mirror, search and replace when you mirror controls one side to the other, which is very nice. Then aside from that, it's pretty simple. You're just selecting controls in the viewport, going in here and adding single buttons. You can add commands in here. In fact, I will go in here and press add command. Let's add that script. Move chest. So I've got a button here which now moves this chest control to there. So great. Glad I did that. What's handy as well is I've just discovered that this control is much nicer than the other spine controls. I'm going to go ahead, click it, and just update that button. So within advanced editing, this is where Dreamwall Picker really comes to life. So we have a series of buttons here. This one obviously deletes buttons. This one undoes that because I don't want to do that. I have a button that I want to copy and paste. Very simple. This button copies attributes. Say I want this button here to look this. I'll just copy that and go into here. Give me a bunch of options. Now say I only want to copy the color. I'll just keep this checked. But you can copy the text, shape, everything. I'll have everything except left and top checked. And then I can just hit paste, and it will just paste the exact same button just there. And this will now do what it did before, but it just copies all the values of that. Super useful when you want to make things very similar. Obviously undo, redo, very handy. This is the search and replace, which is super useful. For example, select all of these. These select this side of the rig. As you can see, I can select all of these, and when I go to selected shapes and targets, I can search and replace RO underscore by LO underscore. It will search whatever the control is called. Anything in there that has that, it will just replace it with that. I can replace that, and now everything on that side selects the other side. Very handy for mirroring. Here is where you can turn on or off background selection. Say I want to select this control and just move it. Also, any images you import to create more traditional pickers. This magnet control just is a snap tool, which snaps to any size grid that you want to define, which can be very handy for making things very perfect. But I tend to just not use that and just freehand things. In here, you can change the size of that grid. If you want to make it super dense or you want to make it super wide, could be useful for something. Here is where you change the size of the actual picker, the canvas essentially that you're working on. So got it on 444. I'm going to set it to 500 and it just makes it wider. It always makes it wider on this side. This side is pretty much locked. This is 0, 0, and down here is essentially 500, 850. Set that to 4, and then if I change that one, it's just gonna add space to the bottom, but it's to the bottom and to the right. I can add a button in here, similar to this button I added here. Just has, if you wanna execute a script or key all or whatever, you can use those. A button to add some text, which is very handy. This can't be selected unless you have the background thing turned on, but you can kind of come in here and say content, arm, everything over here is for the arm, and then it's great. Obviously, in this section over here, you can kind of change the size of this text. You want it a bit smaller or you want it really big. You can just, any kind of software where you can add text works the same. Within here, you've got attributes, much like the buttons and things like that, you can kind of go in here and tweak all manner of things. If you zoom lock any controls, it will lock the zooming of that picker. Just set that to false if you want to be able to zoom in and out. You can change the shape. You tend to go for square for single selection controls and round for multiple selections. And rounding rectangle is quite nice. You don't have to have such a weird shape out of nowhere. You can come in here and custom put things if you want. Could be cool. You can play with a roundness, which is pretty fun. Rounded X, so I could change that to 50. Yeah, you can create almost custom shapes in here using these attributes, which could be useful if you want. You could set these buttons to an actual image, which was pretty cool. Nice. So I've got Gingy here as a button, which is just cool, to be honest. I think I'll leave that. Fit to shape. That's cool. You probably just want it to fit into shape. This is where you can custom have how big you want the image. 500 by 200. Gonna make him much bigger. Don't know why you would really want to do this, but I assume when I select here, it doesn't select, or when I select here, it does. Kind of interesting anyway. You can come in here and select multiple controls, then come in and turn off the border. This creates a nice clean look and it helps differentiate things. So I'll just select everything in here. It's kind of nice. And then I could just go in and the arms and legs, these big multiple control things, and just have those be bordered. You can even customize that with that border width. So I want that one to have one. I just want this to be a bit thicker. Pretty cool. You can change it when it's hovered. It's super, super customizable. Or when it hovers over, it just makes that border even thicker. But by default, it's pretty good. I'll just leave it at that. You can change that border color. So that's white border. Equally, you can change the text color. So you want some white text in there as well. And again, change it for the hovering, clicked, add transparency to it. You can add a value to add some transparency. I want to see this lovely image, but these damn controls are in the way. I can just kind of come in and add some transparency to them that I can see through. Could be useful. Obviously, add text, one of the most useful things. FK, change the size of that. Very nice. Make it bold, even italic, and color. Even change the alignment, which could be useful for different things, for sure. And even the alignment top to bottom. Why not? And then if you want to add some more customization to this, you can add commands and you can add to your selection through here. Say you want to add this button as well. Well, you can just select something and come in here and add that control or replace that control, or just remove it altogether and then start again with something else. So this, and then add. You can change what different clicks do. If you want to left click, you could have it do one command and right click to do another command. If you want to do a super compact picker, you have a left click to key everything and a right click to select everything. Nice. Okay, now that we've gone through this section over here, let's finish talking about these buttons up here. You have a button here to create backgrounds, background shapes essentially. Pretty nice. I wanted to just color the whole background in this kind of dark blue color, Spider-Man. That'd be cool. This button here, I think what it does is, I'll try and explain this, but I think it essentially frames your picker. Say I make this bigger and I've lost my feet controls and then I can't get it back because the UI is troublesome at times, but I can just press this button. It will scale my picker to fit to the furthest point and essentially frame all of my buttons. But I don't think it does it the other way. Say I made these really small and put them back up here. It just wouldn't do that. It only expands to that. So could be something to change in that. It would be nice if it just scaled down again to the outer regions of your picker. If anyone from the development team of this beautiful tool is watching, that'd be nice. Here we have the mirror tools, which in conjunction with the search and replace tools are very nice. Copy, paste, and then you can just mirror them. very nice, up and down, very cool. This button here is for bringing things to the front or to the back. Say you have a background and I've lost my light blue color one to show where my element is. You just put that to the back, and then you can put this one to the front of those buttons if you want. These are the align tools. They're super helpful. So quickly move these around and stuff, and I just want to have that selected. I want to kind of have these are just not aligned. I can just quickly align them like that. I can align them to the furthest point that way or the furthest point that way. I can align them up and down and in that way as well. I've opened up the Spider-Man rig from Agora, which is pretty cool. The original rig is by Jilawat and Yanin, and it's very cool. You can check it out here. But this isn't a video about that. This is a video about making a picker for this guy. As you can see, there is quite a lot to this rig. I haven't actually used this before, but I find that making a picker is actually a great way to learn about the rig and all the things that it has within the rig. I'm going to create a new file. You can go ahead and rename this file. Change picker title, Spidey. And I'm going to go ahead and grab this control, add a single button, and grab this control. It's part of the reason why I had to make pickers, because as you can see, selecting things can be a pain in the... And let's go ahead and add one for his head control. Once we've made a few buttons in here, I've got one for the root control, I've got one for the IK chest, and I've got one for the head. I'm going to go ahead and go into advanced editing. This is kind of where Dreamwall Picker comes into its own and does some very nice snazzy things. This is very simple. You just grab things and it's purely an editor. You're not able to select buttons in here, but you can move things around. You can add text, root, chest, and head. It's kind of the big controls that we're using all the time. Let's make them decent. And first of all, there's this nice button here, which kind of aligns everything, just centers everything up, which is very fancy. And we kind of have the start of a beautiful picker here. I'm going to continue making a few bits. And if you come over to the picker and just hit F, it will frame very nicely your picker. And I'm going to go ahead and add multiple buttons here, which just gives me that nice FK chain. You can go ahead and tweak all of the attributes of this. So there's background color here, and just make it, for simplicity's sake, the same color. Obviously it'd be nice to make these something similar. Very nice. Do the same with the neck chain and reposition these in a second. These are squash and stretch controls, which are very cool. I'm just putting in a bunch of buttons and I will reposition them later. I'm just going to get all of the central controls for now. Doesn't make a lot of sense to make this picker super narrow and thin. Let's put them over there. Right, we're going here. I can then edit them. Very nice. Okay, so let me grab these. Now, a cool thing in here is I want to grab all of these. You can just kind of move them all together and change their scale like that, which is very handy and nice. I just kind of spread them out a bit. You can do that, not worry too much about kind of messing up their nice centralness, because we can just come in and just, as soon as we got all of these central controls sorted, then we'll just go in and do that. Something cool here with this, which is this copy attributes button up here. If we press this, this will copy the attribute of this button, and we can then grab these buttons and go in here and choose what we want to copy to it. So we want pretty much everything, because I want it to look the same as these buttons that I created. But I just want to turn off left and top, which is the position of the button, and just hit paste. That should copy those over to that, make them a little bit smaller, just their neck controls. I'm not going to be using them a ton, maybe a bit thinner as well. And we've got this control. Maybe I copy attributes of that, paste, and then I just want to change the background to maybe something in here. If you want everything to be a certain color, then you can literally just go copy and then come in here and turn everything off except the color, and it will just paste the exact same color. Cool. It's coming along, looking good. I'm actually feeling this is starting to become quite small, but you can just grab the whole thing, scale it up, and then I can come over here and just hit F and it will scale really nicely. As opposed to Animschool Picker, where when you go to this level of zoom, you really lose the text in your boxes. Let's go ahead and make buttons for all of these as well. The buttons will create, same as Animschool Picker, in the order that you click them, which is handy. And I'm just going to copy the attributes of this and paste them onto this guy, because I kind of what I did with that. Kind of annoying that we have to go in and check them all again. We just kind of need the shape and the color we want. Now we're getting a bit tight here, and you're probably thinking, well, where are we going to add the bottom because there's no space, but it's quite easy to just come in here and kind of tweak this value. So let's go ahead and make it 1000 just so it stays on screen. And this is probably fine. The width is too big at the moment. 600 maybe is nice. Yeah, that's cool. Got all these central controls, very nice. And you can see why I'm kind of creating a bunch of buttons at once and then go about tweaking them later, because I can essentially just very quickly design one thing and then apply that to a bunch by doing the copy and paste attributes. It's coming along. I'm going to go ahead and make these a different color just because I'm finding on the picker, if everything is kind of the same color, it's a bit on here. It's kind of easy because the chest is down here and these controls are very separated, but these are kind of on here, a bit congested, and it's not going to be super clear. I'm just going to go ahead and make them green. So why not? All right, let's see how we're looking. We're looking pretty good. These guys, kind of shape is nice. Do paste. Now, these are line tools. These ones kind of will align to whichever one of these is the topmost. And again, this one does it to the bottom. Very handy. Cool. I'll just color those quickly. It'd be kind of handy to have some very quick colors that you can just choose from. We've got all of the center controls pretty much that I'm going to be using, and I just want to come in and now create my arm. Let's create FK first. Again, we can just select these in a chain and it will remember the order, and we can add multiple buttons. Kind of annoying that we can't just right click and create them in the picker editor, but I'm kind of fine with it for being able to have a nice free picker that's free and not paid for and way worse, for example. Now, are there bendy controls in this rig? I assume there would be, but let's have a look. Yes, we got bendies. Again, I'll just select them in a chain. Okay, we got a metatarsal control, very nice. I just want to make everything for now green on this side, because why not? We got the clav, and we got the switch. Okay, I want to make this one big. I do tend to use the arms quite a lot, especially for pose-to-pose stuff. Can be handy. And I'll just make these a slightly different color. And let's go ahead and just go away from the rig and make these a different color completely. These are bendy controls, and I'm going to call them all B for bendy. Cool. Line. Go ahead and move these down. It would be cool to have these three a little separate, because kind of difficult to know. You can just move these with your arrow keys as well, which is handy. All right, nice. I'm going to go ahead and make these 10 or 15 by 15, just because I don't always want rectangles. This would be nice. And I'm going to grab one and just kind of make it a shape that I kind of base how big I make things on how much I use them. Copy. I kind of wish that there was a way to just automatically get the spacing between these. I don't see that there is. And I'm just going to add multiple buttons. Now, it makes sense to me to really make sure these are aligned. I'm going to grab all of these and apply all of those same settings. Just going to use that, and we're going to just get them all aligned. And then once the spacing is even, which I believe that will make it, I'll just then go in and do the same top to bottom. And laying them out like this is going to make them just a lot easier to select when you're just drag selecting on the middle fingers. And I'm now going to just color these so that we know which ones are kind of that base control and which one are the fingers themselves. And there's this handy control here, which is very handy, which is nice. And this one is kind of one that I'm not going to be selecting that much with them. I guess somewhere around here is fine for it. And then it can just be nice, now that I've got all of the finger controls on here, to just multiple select a load of them and just add a single button for that. You can go in here, select that, and there's different shapes you can choose. Round is pretty nice for one that selects multiple shapes, and of course we will color it something similar. This will now select all of those, which is very handy. And I don't feel a need to kind of create one for each individual finger, because it's easy to just kind of come in and select things in rows. Cool, happy with that. What have we got here? Got roll control. Well, that's kind of a fancy design. I'm gonna add, just again, starting with the main controls. Tip control. There is a hip control. Okay, these are essentially the 3 IK controls, and I'm going to grab this because I kind of like the way that looks, and I'm just going to paste it to those. Of course, space them out, the line, very nice. And I'm going to put these right up here, an FK chain on the foot, kind of cool. Put that in as a chain. How do I want to do that? Okay. Now things are getting a bit tight in these text boxes. You can actually change the size of the text as well, which is super handy. Very nice. All right. Not seeing a ton of reason to have these separated. I'm actually going to just move them a bit closer together. Yeah, nice. Cool. And we've got, what's that? Heel control. Can I see a need to have that? Sure. Okay. That's a lot for the foot. Now I'm assuming if we had tweakers for the arm, we have that for the legs, which of course we do. Tweak viz. The handy thing about this is I can turn off the visibility of the tweak and I can still just go in here and use the tweaks on the picker. Okay, multiple buttons. Okay, all right, let's make this pretty. These attributes, paste them here. Very nice. Move these over here, make them a little smaller. And I tell you what, I'll put them in here. Make this just a bit longer. It's important to make things efficient and not needlessly have negative space on these, because especially if you just want it on the side of your viewport, that it would be kind of pointless to have these things spread out. It's just going to make this longer, and it's going to mean when you frame it, it's going to get all skinny. Center those, nice, happy with that. Center those, center these, nice. I'm actually happy with these ones being pretty small because I'm not seeing a lot of value in them. You know what, let's go ahead and make an FK as well. Oops. 1, 2, 3. Copy, paste, text, shape, paste. Nice. Okay, use that align there just to make these pretty good. All right, we're looking good. Now I'm feeling this could all as a whole just be a little bigger. So you can just grab them and move them so. Hips are probably a bit big, if I'm honest. Very nice. Oh no, I've still got to do the other side. Well, hold on to your butts. Okay, I'm gonna first of all create a select all, or it's a multiple selection. That's fine. Copy. Again, we'll just copy that design language over essentially. Okay, cool. And that's feeling nice. Very nice. Just go ahead and adjust these a little just to make them more efficient in their use of space. And that works, that works, that works. These are not super easy to grab. Let's actually move that. I think we're ready to mirror. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, I'm going to select all of those controls on that side, and I'm going to hit the copy button. I'm going to paste them. I'm then going to hit this mirror button here, which will mirror them that way. And I'll just position that it's pretty much the same. And again, I will press this button to just frame that. We're not losing anything. So I just want to select everything on that side. And if the rig is set up correctly, which I'm hoping it is, I want to select all of these, go into search, selected shapes, targets, and go for R0 and replace with L0 underscore just to be safe. Replace. This should now select everything on the other side, mirror very nicely, and we pretty much have a complete picker. Of course, the colors would be nicer if they were matching. We may as well make these a little more efficient in their use of space. Same with these the settings. Cool. 850. Perfect. We've got one that's, say we want one that's maybe a bit thinner, just to be a bit smaller on our screen. Does actually scale very well. I'm going to set that to 444, and I'm pretty happy with that. And I will select one of these. I'm going to go ahead and use rig controls. By using the Animbot select rig controls, it just makes sure that every single thing on that rig that's a control curve will be selected, just in case I missed anything and then something gets keyed, and hopefully I haven't missed anything. But for my use, I feel this is useful enough. And I'm just going to add a button for that selection. And I feel I use this a ton to make it very different and big. Just call it all. We have a cool button up here. Something which is just a body and a body mechanics thing. This is more than enough, really. I go ahead and hit F on here. You can see it frames very nicely. And if I zoom in or zoom out, it works pretty well. Another thing you can add, should you want, is backgrounds. I find these quite useful to just differentiate different parts of your picker, arms, and we can give it a different color again. We'll make that maybe a really nice light blue. Didn't work. And I'm going to just copy and paste this. You see it paste over the top? You can just use this button here, which sends it to the back, which is handy to then always keep those backgrounds on the top. But it's useful if you want to kind of create multiple backgrounds on each other. For example, if you create a background here and then you want to create another background, copy and paste, which is just a bit smaller, but inside, say for example, you're illustrating a mouth in this picker, then quite nice to just send them both to the back. And then you get a background within a background, which is pretty cool. These won't be selectable in the picker. You can set them to be selectable, which is handy. Say, for example, you wanted to make this brown square that I just created select all of these. You could just go in here and add an action, which would essentially be select all of these. I think you can just go in and do what I just did and add. And now in the picker, that button selects all of those. I don't find it super useful because when I hover over that, it just grays out all of those controls. Anytime I'm going over here and just going to select the IK, it just makes everything gray. I haven't been utilizing those very much, but you can just come in here and delete things very easy. Make that kind of cool. And again, you can copy and paste attributes here as well. I'll just grab the background color of that. Is me trying to match it by eye. Oh yeah, another thing, you could come in here and just add some text. This works the same way as the background selection. You have to make sure that this button is kind of unticked in order to use that. I can go in here, left arm, and do the same for the other side. Same things apply. You can just copy and paste should you want. I don't really want these in the picker. And then we have a picker, which is a picker. Okay, all right, that's my final picker. You can hit F on it. You can see that all the buttons work. They select the same things. I can hide all of these controls and everything just works. Super nice way to work. Go ahead and save this. Spidey picker. And we're ready to work, really. If you guys want this picker, I'll just upload it somewhere and put it in the description. This is a no-brainer to use over something like Animschool picker, just purely for being able to zoom in and zoom out and not ruin the text. I like to use this completely free and just brilliant tool in general, to be honest, which is Dreamwall picker. So I hope that helped. It was kind of nice to practice with this video and just get back into YouTube. I've had a few months off. I will be back with a full blocking tutorial based on my reference videos and the reference I shot in that. I think I'm going to use this Spider-Man rig, which is why I did this picker. Kill two birds with one stone. And until then, subscribe. Let me know what kind of videos you guys want to see, because I'm going to try and be more active and try and upload more content. That'll be good. Goodbye.